Well, to begin today, I want you to listen to Dr. Gary Habermas, who is known and respected as one of the premier scholars in the world on historical research surrounding Jesus' resurrection. Listen. You've written a book entitled The Historical Jesus, and you have outlined a very unique approach where you have picked 12 historical facts that are agreed to by virtually all critical scholars. Tell us how you picked out these facts.
Well, first, my purpose in doing this was to have common ground that critics and believers can share together and say, now, what do we do with this common body of facts? The 12 begin at Jesus' death by crucifixion. I think there are many others throughout his life, but I start with that and go through till the end. And my point is to pick facts with virtually no exceptions, which will fit two criteria. Criteria number one, the vast majority of critical scholars will admit this fact, and I mean 90 percentile, all right? And secondly, I will not use a fact that is not multiply attested at several levels by several sources and will give us looks at this from different perspectives. And I think that's a good 1-2 punch for this.
All right, let's take fact number one. Jesus died by crucifixion. You not only cite that this came from Scripture, but you say it's attested to by over 17 non-Christian secular sources.
Well, yes, you have Scripture with Paul, with 4 Gospels, with Acts, etc. There are about 17 secular sources for Jesus. 12 of them cite his death with all sorts of details. So 12 out of 17 tell us that he died with this or that.
Name a few.
Well, okay, you've got Tacitus, who gives us some information and mentions Pilate and Tiberius Caesar. You've got the Talmud with a reference to Jesus being hanged on Passover Eve after they were going to stone him. You've got another Jewish source, Josephus, who says he was crucified during under the leadership of Pontius Pilate. You've got two sources, two very much ignored sources, Thallus, a Greek historian writing about 52 AD, and Phlegon, a freedman from Emperor Hadrian, writing about 120, about the time of Tacitus and Suetonius. Both of them record the darkness that surrounds the earth during the crucifixion. You have Marabar Serapion, a Syrian writer, who talks to his son and says Jesus was a man who died for his teachings. And you have the satirist and historian Lucian, who, by the way, wrote just about our only ancient account of historiography, how to do history, these tools and rules that we use. And Lucian says, teasingly about Jesus, he's a crucified sophist, and he taught his followers to be brothers and not to fear death. But he died for these things. Now, those are a few of the sources we have from secular history. Now, on top of those, we have some unique medical information about death by crucifixion, so much so that 15 years ago, the Journal of the American Medical Association could have an article by a team, one pastor, 2 medical personnel, who write about death by crucifixion, and these men write a death certificate for Jesus. So you have medicine coming in with a dozen secular sources, with the New Testament, of which Paul is a leader here. Everybody admits he's really an eyewitness. This is why John Dominic Crossan and Marcus Borg did not hesitate to say that the cross has to be undoubted in the life of Christ, and it's by far the best attested event.
Now, you probably know that one of the leaders of the Jesus Seminar, John Dominic Crossan, claimed on the ABC special with Peter Jennings that Jesus' body was taken down off the cross, thrown onto a garbage heap, and he was eaten by wild dogs. I asked Dr. Habermas to comment on whether or not there is any historical evidence for this amazing statement.
I could say for the moment that it's interesting that virtually none of his friends have followed him. This doesn't prove anything here or there, but maybe it's a hint that the data are not in his favor. And one thing I would say to that is we are devoid of a single fact that says that happened to Jesus. We have a lot of reasons to think that he was buried and that the tomb in which he was buried was empty, but nothing, not any fact that says he was thrown into a common grave. Now you could say, well, that's usually what's done to crucifixion victims, but see, we have specific evidence that says that was not done in the case of Jesus.